Lagoon.
Okay, today we're going to discuss something not just out of the Bible, which I'm usually showing you things that you don't think about or you don't learn about, but today we're going to talk about Islam. In fact, I'm going to utilize a well-known scholar named Abraham Ibrahim. Let's listen. It's pretty self-explanatory.
This odd hadith, which I'm about to narrate, appears in several hadith collections, including the highly esteemed Musnad of Ibn Hanbal, founder of one of Islam's 4 schools of laws, or madhahib, as well as in many other well-respected Islamic texts, all of which are being taught in Al-Azhar.
So I understand this is something that's well known but not well taught, like things that I show in the Bible, right? So tell us more about this.
The hadith, which is narrated by Abdullah bin Mas'ud, a companion of the Prophet and one of Islam's most reliable and trustworthy transmitters of hadith, goes as follows. Brace yourself. Abdullah begins by telling us that Muhammad called on him to accompany him on a trip into the desert. When they reached a certain place and night had fallen, Muhammad made a line in the sand, most likely a circle, and told Abdullah, quote, "Stay behind this line and do not cross it, for if you do, you will die."
Let's call this line the Diddy line, as in, Muhammad didn't just cross that line, did he?
Muhammad then left his startled companion and walked into the desert night, about the distance of a hurled stone, says Abdullah. Before long, our narrator saw a group of men, he does not specify how many, who, quote, appeared to be al-Zut. He describes them as, quote, tall, lean, and naked.
So,
other Islamic sources say these Zut were a black-skinned people, and we'll get into that later. After describing them, Abdullah goes on, and here's the problematic part, to say, quote, they went to and began to ride the Prophet of Allah.
They did what now?
They went to and began to ride the Prophet of Allah. Literally, that's what the Arabic says. These tall, black, naked men rode Muhammad. The Arabic word yarkabun, which I will presently discuss, can also be translated as mounted. And they did this all night long, says Abdullah.
These tall, lean, black, naked men mounted Muhammad in the desert and rode him all night long, while his companion Abdullah ibn Mas'ud watched from behind the cuck line?
During which time they would also come and circle around and try to reach him, but they were prevented, apparently from the line of protection Muhammad had drawn in the sand for his companion. Abdullah concludes his narration, quote, I was extremely terrified by them, so I sat down. With the coming of dawn, they began to depart. Then the Prophet of Allah returned, slowly and in pain, from that which they did while riding him.
Are there any other things that can even corroborate this in any way?
According to another narration found in several Islamic texts, including Akhbar Mecca by Al-Fakahi, Muhammad complained to Abdullah that, quote, they wounded me all night long, at which point the Prophet proceeds to lay his head and fall asleep in Abdullah's lap.
So who are these al-Zut, these dark-skinned, supposed, well-hung companions or people that he meets in the desert?
Who are these al-Zut, these naked men who rode Muhammad all night long? According to Islam's written records, they were a migrant people from India or modern-day Pakistan, described in the sources as very tall, very dark-skinned, very lean, strong and hardy, and often used for labor-intensive work.
I think I may know someone who would want to claim they were the al-Zut.
In early Arabic ethnographies and literary works, al-Zut are also depicted as being very sexual and virile, with very large penises. In fact, according to one Arabic source, Al-Tashibbahat by Ibn Abi Awan, quote, the penis of al-Zut never weakens, meaning their large phalluses never go limp and are ever ready.
I think I may have a candidate that will surely claim to be those people. Whether you could prove that or not would be another thing. So tell me about this riding.
Now let's talk about the Arabic word translated as ride, as in al-Zut rode the Prophet. Not only does it have the same exact meaning in English, as in to ride a horse, for example, but it carries the same slang meaning, as in copulating with a woman. In fact, several Islamic sources use it literally to mean sex.
So you said copulating with a woman. You didn't mention this other type or whatever. Is there anything else that you can tell us that is interesting to look at?
It's also interesting to note that when Al-Zut begins circling and trying to reach our terrified narrator, Abdullah, his first instinct was to sit down. Was he trying to hide and protect that one part of his body, which these naked men were apparently trying to access? That is, his bottom, by sitting down?
This circle around him sounds like a demon circle, a protection circle, if you will, or something on that line. Can you just give us a concise version of what you feel went on during this?
Muhammad took his close companion, Abdullah, into the desert at night. He warned him to wait behind a line and went off at a distance, apparently for a pre-planned rendezvous. Before long, Abdullah saw several naked men from the people of Al-Zut appear, described in the sources as tall, lean, virile, and with large penises.
Wow.
These men then took turns riding or mounting the Prophet all night long. They also tried to reach him, but Abdullah immediately sat down, apparently to protect that one part of his body they were trying to access. As the sun rose, these naked men began to depart, even as Muhammad returned in pain, limping towards Abdullah and saying how Al-Zut had injured him. He then lays in his companion's lap and falls asleep.
Okay, that's very strange. And of course, I have a lot come to mind, but most of it, in fact, all of it that I'm thinking of now, I can't go into on YouTube, if you know what I'm saying.
But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm missing something. Let me ask all our Muslim friends what this means. Why did Muhammad head out into the desert in the middle of the night to meet with a bunch of Indian or Pakistani men who were known for their strong sexual appetites? Why did he bring his companion, Abdullah ibn Masud, and make him stand behind the Diddy line? Did Muhammad like it when one of his companions watched?
Dear sirs, I am writing to you concerning the passage as written in your book. The vernacular suggests that
Neptune's Lagoon.